So I crammed in a lot of Krampus in the past couple of days, and it was a nightmare, quite frankly.
This is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of human events.
So bad, y'all, so bad. And not so bad it's good, just bad. I thought, oh, it would be super duper fun to watch Krampus movies and do a tier list. It was not super fun. It was definitely not super fun at all. I didn't realize how many Krampus movies there were out there, but there's a lot. A lot. If you like any of these films, I greatly apologize if I poop on your superstar films.
But that's a lie.
Because of the special nature of these films, I'm going to do the tier list a little bit different. Yeah, I'm going to start off with the S tier, which is the superior Krampus movies. And by superior Krampus movies, I mean specific to Krampus movies. I'm not saying these films are superior over all other films in the horror genre, because that's just crazy. And for the next tier, I'm going to go with watchable. Yeah, it goes from S to watchable. And watchable is just movies, I don't hate myself for watching. I don't hate myself for watching these films. I didn't die a little inside while watching these films. And for the third tier, we're going to start off with The Turd. The Turd. I mean, everyone knows what a turd is. Then we're going to go with Turdier. And then the turdiest of turds. That's our final tier. The turdiest of turds. Turdiest, yeah. I'm going to start with one of the better known Krampus films. This is an easy one. 2015's Krampus. Directed by Michael Dougherty. Starring Adam Scott, Toni Collette, and MJ Anthony. Krampus is PG-13, and it is a comedy horror. It's definitely darker comedy. The story revolves around a family who has other relatives coming in for Christmas. The son wishes Christmas was like Christmases of the past. He writes Santa Claus a letter. Of course, he gets persecuted for believing in Santa Claus. He gets angry. He rips up his letter, throws it out the window, and inadvertently conjures Krampus. I mean, it happens, right? The family finds themselves stuck in a blizzard, and while in this blizzard, find themselves being attacked in various creative ways by Krampus and his minions. This film is a big budget film, and it feels like a big budget film. It is really, really nice. Nicely shot, nicely made. The puppets are amazing. It's definitely got an amazing looking Krampus. This is definitely, without a doubt, one of the better films on this list, by far, not even close, even though it's PG-13. And they did come out with an R-rated version or cut a couple of years ago, which I have not seen. On Peacock, it is the PG-13 version, but I would be very, very interested to see the R-rated version, because the PG-13 version is pretty awesome. It has like a punch. I'm assuming it's a punch, like from Punch and Judy. Really cool angel animatronics, some funny gingerbread cookies. I love Adam Scott. Adam Scott is really awesome. I love the Krampus ornament that they have in this. It's got a lot of memorable moments, and I do think that there's a reason why this is one of the better known Krampus films, because it's good. Here's the thing about a big budget film. Many of the things in independent films that are severely lacking are wonderful in here. The cinematography, the sound, the lighting, it's the acting. It's all definitely of a superior level. Hence why Krampus 2015 will go, it's definitely an S tier film as far as Krampus movies go. And that's crazy. It's PG-13 and it's S tier. I'm going to get the good ones out of the way. 2015 was apparently a really good and big year for Krampus, because I'm going to talk about 2015's A Christmas Horror Story. Directed by Grant Harvey, Stephen Hoban, and Brett Sullivan. It stars William Shatner, yes, the William Shatner, George Buza, and Rob Archer. I hope I pronounced all those names right. Apologies if I did not. Christmas Horror Story is an anthology film. Shatner plays a DJ who is wildly wildly inappropriate. The way it's structured is very different. Each story plays out kind of at the same time, as opposed to like, you know, seeing one through to the end. They kind of all play a little bit at different points, and then they all finish at the end, which I really liked. This was really, really cool. This is a very, very cool film. I love that you see this really badass Santa, and he's so cool. He's got this big scar along his face. He's pretty amazing, and he's pretty tough. And as much as I love Krampus in Krampus 2015, I think this is my favorite looking Krampus. He kind of has an albino look. He is all white with the white. Oh my gosh. I just think he looks so cool. I dig him so much. And you have an amazing Santa versus Krampus showdown, which of course everyone wants to see, don't we? There's less Krampus in this film as opposed to the other films, because in the other films, the whole thing is just about Krampus. This anthology has different portions, but they are all relative to Krampus, and Krampus is the overarching theme here. There is some great gore and special effects, and the acting in this is just phenomenal. The man who plays Santa is just epic, because at the end, I don't want to give it away, actually, in case you haven't seen it, but he kind of goes through something. This is definitely S-tier level Krampus films, and I actually, between this one and Krampus 2015, I have to say I think that I would put this one slightly before. I really like Krampus and Santa. Anthologies can be so difficult because you have multiple directors. For all of it to look so cohesive and well put together, I think they did a phenomenal job with that. So I definitely think this is an S-tier Krampus film. So we'll stick with 2015 and we will go with Krampus The Reckoning. Directed by Robert Conway, starring Monica and Gesser, Amelia Haberman, and James Ray. Krampus The Reckoning is about a girl who is an orphan. She's become friends with Krampus. She makes like these voodoo doll things. I guess that's how she talks to Krampus. You come to find out that Zoe is not who she appears to be. She's apparently much older than what she should be. This psychologist who has been trying to help her and work with her is related to the fact that she's of a certain age and everything. Like, I don't want to give anything away in case you do want to watch it. And in this film, Krampus burns everybody. Like, that's like the only way he kills people. He like burns them for some reason, which, okay. The Krampus is completely CGI. Totally CGI. 1000% CGI. So the acting, super bad in this film. Honestly, like, not good. There's some weird, odd sex. I don't understand what they were trying to do with this film. Audio in this film is horrible. And I mean horrible at points. Like, it drops. Even for low budget films, there are things that you can do to make them better. There's really not an excuse to just have a really, really poorly made film. As much as I would love to say something really nice about this film, I guess the best thing that I could say is I kind of enjoyed the twist. This film is definitely the turdiest of turds, for sure. Like, sorry, this one is going at the bottom of the barrel. Like, it's yeah. Here we're gonna go to 2018 with Krampus Origins, directed by Joseph Mba, stars Maria Olsen, Anna Haar, Amelia Haberman. This film is set during World War I. Some soldiers find a book and an artifact that can summon Krampus. Unfortunately, the soldiers are killed during the war, and one of the soldiers' belongings is sent to his wife, who is a newly appointed teacher at an orphanage. The orphans get a hold of the teacher's belongings and accidentally summon Krampus. This is set in like 1918. It does have a period atmospheric look. The costuming is not of the right time period. I can make allowances for that. This film revolves a lot around the magical or mystical side of Krampus. One of the orphans is like a witch. I really appreciate the fact that this is set in a Catholic orphanage. And while you do have a drunk priest, you don't have one of those typically really mean nuns that you see all too often. I appreciate that they didn't go that route with this. The acting is decent. It's okay. It's up and down. You know, not the best, not the worst. Some are more solid than others. There was some filmmaking decisions that I actually really enjoyed. There was one transition that I really found very clever, a pan and a pan back, and it worked out really well. So there are some aspects of this film that I find pretty good, to be completely honest with you. Now, I will tell you there's some CGI. That's not great. For some reason, Krampus at one point reminds me very much of Wishmaster. I don't know if you've seen that film from the 80s. I don't hate that. I should hate that, but I don't hate that. The movie is watchable tier. Yeah. I don't hate myself for watching this film. Do I necessarily want to watch it again? I mean, sure, okay, I would, but I don't need to. We're going to jump into 2022 with Krampus The Return. Directed by David Gregory, starring Natasha Rose Mills, Dan Robbins, and Stephen Staley. Krampus The Return is about a brother and sister whose parents were murked 20 years prior. The brother believes in Krampus, that Krampus did it. He calls his sister, hey, come visit. She says, okay, I'll be there later. Then he gets murked. She gets devastated, and she and her friends go back to her childhood home. It starts out basically just a vomiting of exposition in this film. Vomiting. They really don't understand the idea of show, don't tell. I think that is incredibly important in filmmaking. A lot of filmmakers want to use dialogue to tell every portion of the film, but that's not the point of films of exposition. The dialogue is wild and awkward and silly at best. The acting is all over the place. There were a couple that were actually decent and stand out. Most of the kills were off screen. There's not a lot of blood and gore. They have some Easter eggs to other horror movies. This is one of the worst Krampus. It's a man in a mask that doesn't move at all. They showed a lot too. Location is cool. The cinematography is okay. Some of the acting is decent. There's sound issues. This film is definitely turdier. It's not a turd. It's worse than a turd. It's turdier. But it's not turdiest. Let's go into 2016 with Krampus Unleashed. Directed by Robert Conway, starring Amelia Brantley, Bryson Hole, and Caroline Lassiter. Krampus Unleashed is odd because it doesn't really have much of a story other than a family coming together. It's more like a Krampus slasher film, which I can get behind. I really love the idea of a Krampus slasher, if it were good. The acting here is atrocious. The cinematography is passable. The sound is awful. The editing is awful. The story is awful. There were some editing choices, filming choices, where I really don't think that two characters were actually in the same room together as they were recording it because of this movie is not great, y'all. At the beginning of this film, it kind of blew my mind because they have a rendition of Let It Snow that is so horribly awful that I can only assume that the cast and crew got together and sang it themselves. I don't know who thought that they could be old crooners like Michael Bublé or Harry Connick Jr., but it was not good. It really did set the tone for the film, though. So there's that. Without a doubt, this movie is the turdiest. The turdiest of turds. It really is the turdiest of turds. And last on our list, we have 2017's Mother Krampus. Directed by James Class, starring Claire Maria Fox, Tony Manders, and Faye Goodwin. So there is a lot to the story with this Mother Krampus. I know this doesn't fit the typical mold of Krampus, but it does read very much like Krampus, even though it is Mother Krampus, an older woman, witchy type character. She still gets the kids and puts them on a sack in her back. It's got a very long, thought out, convoluted story that kind of works. Kind of works. It's okay. And it does have a kind of twist that doesn't really land, but I appreciate where they tried to go with it. The makeup on the Mother Krampus is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Interestingly enough, it's quite gory, but some of the gore is really bad, but some of the gore is really good. It's kind of a convoluted story. It's not incredibly hard to follow. Basically, there was someone going around murking, and the townsfolk believed that they discovered who did it. They took justice into their own hands, therefore creating Mother Krampus. This movie is not great, that's for sure, but it's not bad. But it's not so bad it's good either. So this is definitely our first and only turd.
You're my favorite turd.
How about that? This movie was apparently good enough to have a sequel because there is Mother Krampus 2 Sleigh Ride. So there's that. I did not watch that film, so I apologize. And here we have our Krampus movie tier list. Yay! In our S tier, we have A Christmas Horror Story and Krampus. For watchable, we have Krampus Origins. For our first and most wonderful turd, we have Mother Krampus. For something a little bit turdier, Krampus The Return. And the turdiest of turds, we have Krampus The Reckoning and Krampus Unleashed. Aside from our S tier Krampus, every one of these movies is streaming on Tubi for your viewing pleasure. You're welcome! There's my gift to you. Happy holidays to you. Comment below if you've seen any or all of these films, and to the people that have, I deeply, deeply apologize. I really feel your pain. I really do. And tell me if you've liked any of them, if Krampus is on your list of Christmas or holiday flicks for this time of year. And I hope you have the most amazing day, my spooky darlings. That's very interesting. Turdy or turd, turdy or turd, turdy or turd, turdy or turd, turdy or turd. And for the third tier,